Texas has always been the land of new beginnings, a place where dreams come to life. But behind the bright boulevards and booming economy lies a dark truth, the hidden homelessness crisis. People live under bridges, in tents, and in the shadows of society. What happens when the American dream turns into a nightmare? It's not something we like to talk about, but it's real, and it's getting worse. Living costs rise, but the support system remains broken. The dream is slipping away for many, while the truth stays hidden. Rome Kind takes you behind Texas's shining facade, where the stark reality of homelessness waits. Stay with us to uncover the secrets they don't want you to see. Are you ready to face the truth? Number 1. From the American dream to the silent collapse in Texas. Texas has long been a beacon of the American dream, a state where bright futures are promised and opportunities feel endless. The idea of coming here, starting fresh, and building a life is deeply ingrained in the culture. And for many, it was once true. But let's pause for a second. How many of those dreams are still alive? How many are buried under the weight of rising prices and shifting realities? Back in the 1970s, Texas was a haven. Migrants from Ohio, Illinois, and California packed up their homes, bringing with them little more than a few savings and hopes of a better life. Housing was affordable, the climate was perfect, and jobs seemed to grow on trees. You could live comfortably, work hard, and even plan for a decent retirement. The promise of a better future for your kids felt like a sure thing. But then, something changed. Slowly, quietly. The changes were so subtle at first that no one noticed. Housing prices soared, slowly creeping out of reach for many. Living costs became burdensome, pushing families further and further into debt. Jobs that once seemed stable, they became scarcer. And just like that, the foundation of the American dream began to crack. The sad truth is, this didn't happen overnight. It wasn't a sudden collapse. It was a silent decline, a slow fade that most of us didn't want to see. Affordable housing became a thing of the past. Those once solid careers started slipping through people's fingers, and before anyone could react, homelessness became a quiet epidemic. How did it all go wrong? Was it the lack of foresight, or was it just the natural consequence of a booming economy that forgot to care for the people who helped build it? The changes were ignored for years, and by the time many realized, it was too late. People couldn't afford their homes anymore, and the streets began to fill up with the invisible, those who no longer had a place to call home. The truth? The American dream is no longer what it used to be, or at least not for everyone. It's still alive, sure, but it's not as accessible as it once was. People used to dream of coming to Texas to escape hardship. Now for many, it's just another place where those dreams quietly fade. Number 2. Cold statistics on homelessness in Texas. When you think of Texas, you probably picture oil, cattle, and booming cities. But behind the glowing skyline and booming economy, there's an issue that's rapidly growing: homelessness crisis. Over 27,377 people in Texas are homeless, nearly double the number from just 5 years ago. Cities like Austin, Houston, and Dallas are grappling with this, but it's not just the big cities. Even smaller towns are starting to feel the strain. But here's the real kicker. Those numbers don't even tell the whole story. Many more people are living in their cars, crashing on friends' couches, or stuck in cramped, unsafe rooms. These people aren't counted in the official statistics. So, how many more are really out there, struggling without help? Let's talk about the invisible line, the fragile space between having a home and losing it all. A sudden medical bill, a lost job, or a family crisis can flip anyone's life upside down. Once you fall, it's tough to climb back. The domino effect starts. No job, no home, no hope. It's a cycle that many in Texas are trapped in. What makes this worse is the role of poverty. With rising housing costs and wages staying flat, more and more people are being pushed to the brink. Imagine waking up to see your rent double in the past 5 years, but your paycheck staying the same. It's not just bad luck, it's a broken system. The numbers may be shocking, but it's the real stories behind them that need our attention. The elderly, families with kids, and even veterans, these are the faces of homelessness crisis that often get overlooked. They spent decades building their lives here, but now they're out on the streets. So, what's the solution? First, we have to acknowledge the problem. Then we start asking the tough questions. How can we fix this? It's not just about stats, it's about real lives. Let's make sure no one is left behind. What do you think? How can Texas turn things around? Number 3. Portraits of the invisible homeless. Have you ever walked past someone huddled under a bridge, covered by a tattered blanket, and wondered, what happened to them? It's easy to overlook, right? We're all so caught up in our own busy lives, rushing to meetings, heading out for dinner, scrolling through social media. But behind the dazzling lights of Texas, there are countless invisible homeless people living in unimaginable conditions, hidden in plain sight. The invisible homeless are everywhere. You just need to take a moment to see them. Imagine waking up one day and realizing everything you once had is gone. That's what happened to Steve. He had it all: a steady job, a house, a family. Now he's living in a tree, with only scrap wood, rope, and netting for shelter. His life, once filled with promise, now hangs by a thread. No address, no door, just a fragile shelter. How did we get here? The reality of homeless camps is heartbreaking. These camps are not tucked away in dark alleys. No, they're right under our noses, but we'd rather not see them. The shelters are poorly lit, with little sanitation. People constantly fear being evicted and displaced to more dangerous spots. There's no stability, no hope, just survival. Think about this. Over 27,000 people are homeless in Texas, and the number continues to rise. But the real number is likely even higher. The homeless statistics don't count people living in cars or those bouncing between friends' couches. They're literally invisible in the eyes of the law. Why should we care? Because these are our neighbors, our fellow citizens. Every time we ignore their suffering, we ignore our own humanity. It's not just about pity. It's about creating a society where everyone can live with dignity. And that begins with recognizing the issue. Are you ready to face this uncomfortable truth? The invisible homeless are waiting for someone to notice. They're living a story that too many refuse to read. Let's not let them be forgotten. Now that you've seen the faces behind the invisible homeless in Texas, what are your thoughts? This is a reality we can no longer ignore. Drop a comment below with just "invisible" if you're ready to confront this truth. don't stop here. Stay with us to see how this story unfolds in the next segment. Number 4. The elderly and children, the most vulnerable groups. What if the elderly, who built our world, were now living without a roof over their heads? And what about children who should be playing in parks and dreaming of the future, instead facing the harsh reality of homelessness? It's happening in Texas, and the truth is both painful and real. Let's begin with the elderly. These individuals were once teachers, workers, and veterans. They had homes, families, and stability. But now, many are facing homelessness. Can you imagine? The places they once called home now feel like a distant memory. Why? High taxes have skyrocketed, pushing rents higher. Meanwhile, their pensions haven't increased. Rent prices doubled in 5 years, while their income stayed the same. Shelters? They're often not suitable for the elderly, with stairs, no privacy, and little health care. These people built this society. Why are they left behind? Now consider the children. Over 114,000 children are homeless in Texas. These kids should be attending school, playing with friends, and dreaming of their futures. Instead, they're forced to live in tents, sleeping in unsafe places, and studying by flashlight. Is this fair? Children deserve so much more. They deserve a future, not just survival. This isn't just about poverty. It's about a system that has failed them. The state cannot seem to provide a sustainable solution. Shelters are overcrowded, and resources are stretched thin. What happened to the promises made to these children and seniors? What can we do? We must be compassionate. The elderly and children are not statistics. They are people, deserving of dignity and support. Instead of pushing them aside, we need to help rebuild their future. Texas, a state built on dreams, cannot afford to leave its most vulnerable behind. Isn't it time we act? Isn't it time we create a future where no one is left out? Number 5. Social inequality and failing welfare systems. Have you ever noticed how the shiny towers of Texas's cities seem to overlook the worn-out neighborhoods just a few blocks away? On one side, it's a booming economy with tech hubs and luxury condos. On the other, the poor are left to struggle, with little chance to catch up. Here's the truth. Texas is thriving, but not for everyone. The real estate market is booming, but only the wealthy benefit. While Texas grows, rent prices soar, leaving those who can't keep up falling further behind. Public housing is neglected, and the welfare system is a mess, underfunded and outdated. Programs meant to help are overwhelmed by bureaucratic red tape. Try applying for assistance when the office is understaffed and the lines are long. It's almost like a cruel joke. And guess who gets left behind? The poor. As Texas's wealth concentrates in a few neighborhoods, the less fortunate are pushed out. New shopping malls and high-end bars sprout up. But people who've lived in Texas for years are forced to the outskirts, unseen and forgotten. It's as if Texas is turning into a two-tier society, with the wealthy getting richer while the poor become invisible. The welfare system was supposed to catch those falling through the cracks, but it's failing. Shelters are overcrowded, waiting lists are long, and many are turned away. People who need help the most are left without a safety net. Does that sound like a society built on opportunity? With over 27,000 homeless people in Texas, this isn't just a minor problem. It's a growing crisis. The system doesn't work, and people are paying the price. What do you think? Should we continue pretending this isn't happening, or is it time to demand real change? Social inequality is a serious issue, but it's one we can fix together. What will it take for us to address this problem head-on? Is Texas really the land of opportunity, or has it become a place where only the wealthy thrive? If this resonates with you, comment "Change Needed" and let us know you're standing for a fair future. And hey, before we continue, take just 10 seconds to hit that subscribe button and support Roamkind. We're committed to bringing you more powerful stories and insights. Let's keep exploring together. Number 6. Cleaning campaigns and pushing the homeless out of sight. Have you ever noticed how things look cleaner when you sweep them under the rug? It's not a solution, but it does make things look better in the short term. That's exactly what's happening in Texas, where cleaning campaigns are on the rise, pushing the homeless out of sight rather than solving the problem. Texas is home to some of the most well-known cities in America, and with that comes a need for a polished image, whether it's Austin, Dallas, or Houston. Officials and local businesses are eager to make sure everything looks perfect for visitors. So, when the homelessness crisis reaches a boiling point, the solution is simple: just move them out of view. But does that really solve anything? In some places, police and bulldozers are used to clear out encampments. Authorities even use loudspeakers to announce that it's time for people to go. It's like a scene straight out of a bad reality show, where the only goal is to keep the streets looking pristine. But what happens to the people being displaced? They don't disappear, they just end up somewhere else, usually in even worse conditions. This approach has been criticized for its short-sightedness. Sure, the streets look cleaner, but the problem isn't gone. The homeless are just pushed into hidden corners, under bridges, or into abandoned buildings. The real question is, if we just move them around, when do we actually address the root causes of their situation? Poverty, high taxes, and lack of affordable housing are major contributors to the homelessness crisis, yet none of these are fixed by sweeping people off the streets. What happens when the same people are moved time and time again, with no real solutions in sight? The issue becomes a game of cat and mouse. Those who have nowhere to go are left to fend for themselves, only to be moved again when they're found. It's a cycle that never ends. Maybe it's time we start thinking beyond the clean streets and focus on creating long-term solutions. How about affordable housing, better support systems, and tackling the poverty that drives so many into homelessness in the first place? After all, cleaning up the streets won't matter if we don't fix what's underneath. Number 7. Administrative barriers and systemic exclusion. When you think about the government's role in solving the homelessness crisis, what comes to mind? Programs, policies, and a helping hand, right? Well, not exactly. In reality, many homeless people face massive administrative barriers that keep them stuck in a never-ending loop. It's not that help isn't available, it's that systemic exclusion makes it nearly impossible to access it. Take a moment and think about this. How easy is it for you to access social services if you don't have an official address or a valid ID? For many homeless individuals, the very requirements that are meant to help them, like valid identification or proof of residence, become the very barriers that keep them from getting help. No proof of address, sorry, you're not eligible for assistance, no government-issued ID, you're out of luck. These aren't just technicalities, they are real obstacles that make life even harder for people who are already struggling. Overcrowded shelters and overwhelmed systems only add to the problem. They aren't designed to help those who fall through the cracks. They're meant for people who are already in the system. But for many, the system is not built to let them in. Let's talk about the vulnerable groups that get the short end of the stick. The mentally ill, single mothers, the elderly. These people often find themselves at the back of the line when it comes to receiving assistance. Why? Because the system is too rigid, and there's just not enough support to go around. In fact, many homeless people never even make it to the front of the line. They're stuck in a world where no one is really listening. How do we fix this? We need to rethink the whole system. How can we build a more flexible, responsive approach to help those who need it most? If over 200,000 people are affected by homelessness in the state, surely we can come up with a better solution. What are your thoughts? Do you think the system can change? What would you like to see? We can't ignore it anymore. Social responsibility isn't a trend, it's a need. What action are you ready to take today? Comment with "Take action," because it starts with us. Stay tuned till the end of the video to find out how you can help and be part of the change. Number 8. Social responsibility and community awakening. Imagine you're sitting at a cafe, sipping your overpriced latte, and you look out the window. You see a homeless person huddled in a doorway, struggling to keep warm. Do you feel guilty, or just scroll back to your phone, forgetting what you saw? It's easy to ignore, isn't it? Poverty is everywhere, but how often do we truly stop and think about it? How long can we keep looking the other way? We're all wrapped up in our busy lives, right? With high taxes and rising living costs, it feels like we're all struggling. But let's face it, homelessness crisis isn't something we can just push aside. It's right under our noses, and yet many of us pretend not to see it. Here's the thing. Social responsibility isn't about posting a photo with a hashtag. It's about asking ourselves, what are we doing to ensure our neighbors aren't left behind? If we can walk past someone struggling without blinking, doesn't that make us part of the problem? It's easy to think, it's not my issue, but it is. A thriving community is not just about fancy buildings and booming economies. It's about making sure that everyone has a chance at a better life. And that means community awakening. We need to wake up to this issue. We can't sit back and let the homelessness crisis continue. It's not just up to the government or charities. It's on all of us. Every time we turn a blind eye, we become complicit. So, what can we do? It starts with simple actions, seeing those who are invisible, supporting the organizations that are out there making a difference. Let's break the cycle of indifference. The next time you see someone in need, don't look away. Ask yourself, what am I doing to help? Because if we don't start now, who will? Number 9. Media silence and social stigma, the invisible barriers. Have you ever wondered why homelessness is rarely discussed in the media? If it's such a huge issue, why does it feel like we're living in a bubble, unaware of the suffering right outside our door? It's like the media has hit the mute button on this crisis. Sure, they cover accidents, celebrity drama, and weather updates, but homelessness in Texas hardly ever makes the news. The truth is, homelessness has become the invisible problem. There are 27,000 homeless individuals in Texas, but their stories are buried under silence and media neglect. Why? It's easier to look away than face the uncomfortable truth that a growing number of people, including veterans, the elderly, and children, are living on the streets. But it's not just the media. Social stigma plays a huge role in keeping the issue invisible. When we think of a homeless person, don't we often picture someone lazy or addicted? It's easy to blame them for their situation. But homelessness is rarely a choice. It's a result of poverty, high taxes, and failing systems. The public quickly labels these individuals as other and pushes them into the shadows. But why do we treat the homeless like second-class citizens? Why is it that when someone falls on hard times, society deems them unworthy of help? Do any of us deserve to be invisible? Stigma is more than just labels. It's about stripping someone of their humanity. The more we push them aside, the deeper they sink into suffering. But what if we started seeing them as people, with real stories and dreams? What if we gave them the dignity they deserve? We need to end the silence. If we continue to ignore the issue, it's only going to get worse. It's time to start sharing real stories, challenging stereotypes, and asking the tough questions. Texas isn't the only state dealing with this crisis. Let's raise awareness and push for real change. Are you ready to make the issue visible, or will you turn away? The choice is yours. After hearing about the invisible barriers that silence the homeless crisis, we want to hear from you. Drop a comment with the words "End the Silence" and share your thoughts on what we can do to make these stories visible. Don't stop here. Stick around. The next part of the story is something you won't want to miss. Number 10. Rays of Hope. Individuals and communities making a difference. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the homelessness crisis in Texas. The numbers seem daunting, right? But there's hope. People are stepping up, fighting for a better future for the homeless. These aren't just quick fixes. They're real solutions that can make a lasting difference. Non-profit organizations are leading the charge. They provide more than just food. They offer mobile health clinics, temporary shelters, and job counseling. These groups are tackling the root of the problem, working to create sustainable solutions for the homeless. But they can't do it alone. They need your help. Donating, volunteering, or simply spreading awareness can go a long way. Why not get involved? Volunteers are the unsung heroes of many of these efforts. Everyday people, like you and me, are helping out, whether it's giving their time, donating goods, or offering support. Imagine if we all did a little bit. Could we end homelessness? Every small effort adds up. So, what's stopping you from making a difference? One of the most promising programs is Housing First. Instead of expecting people to get clean or fix their lives before getting a home, these programs provide stable housing first. Once people have a roof over their heads, they're in a much better position to tackle other issues like addiction or mental health. Studies show that this approach reduces homelessness significantly. Simple but effective. Even the media is getting involved, shining a spotlight on the homelessness crisis. Documentaries and social media campaigns are raising awareness, starting conversations, and driving action. The more people talk about it, the more pressure there is for change. So, is this the end of the story? Not by a long shot. There's hope, real hope. Despite the challenges, communities and individuals are making a difference. The battle isn't over, but we're winning, and we can win more if we all pitch in. The American dream once promised hope, but can it still hold meaning if so many are left behind? Walking through the streets of Texas, it's hard to ignore the homelessness crisis that's been hidden away. So, what can we really do to fix it? We need affordable housing, healthcare, and better education for those struggling. The solution isn't moving people out of sight, but addressing the root causes. Can we truly have a just society while so many are forgotten? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is the solution to this growing issue?